A while ago, I made a video where I talked about Elon Musk's famously telling Bob Iger to go F yourself.
Go f yourself. Is that clear? Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
This was in response to Iger's decision to pull ads from X because Musk wouldn't censor certain speech to Iger's content. I mentioned at the time that perhaps, just perhaps, it wasn't the smartest idea to piss off the world's richest man, a man known to enjoy a good public feud and rarely loses them. Well, I think payback for Bob's attempt to blackmail Musk just came home to roost, and Gina Carano is going to play a big part of it. Hi, I'm Tim from SpaceNet TV. Elon, Iger, and Gina. Oh my. Let's talk about that. You may recall that some time ago, Elon Musk put out a message to anyone who believed that they were canceled or fired from a job over a Twitter post to contact him. He would look over their case, and if he thought it was valid, winnable scenario, that he would cover the legal costs associated with suing the former employer. Elon is making good on that offer and is funding the cost of the lawsuit filed on behalf of Gina Carano. Backed by Elon Musk, Gina Carano sues Disney over Mandalorian firing. Actor and former professional MMA fighter Gina Carano has sued the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm over claims that she was wrongfully fired from the series The Mandalorian in 2021. In the suit, which was filed Tuesday in federal court in California, Carano alleges that she was fired from her role as Rebel Warrior Cara Dune for voicing right-wing opinions on social media. She is seeking a court order that would require Lucasfilm to reinstate her or compensate her at least $75,000. Carano claims in her suit that she suffered emotional damage and lost millions of dollars in income. A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and that those who dared to question or failed to comply would not be tolerated, the lawsuit says. And so it was with Carano. X is helping cover the cost of the lawsuits, Carano confirmed Tuesday in a post on social media. I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thank you to Elon Musk and X for giving me an opportunity to bring my case to light, she wrote. In the post, Carano denied that her past posts should have been seen as controversial and said her former employers targeted her as part of a bullying smear campaign that was intended to make an example out of me. The truth is, I was being hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the acceptable narrative of the time, Carano wrote. My words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right extremist. Interestingly enough, she is not seeking real damages for being fired, but she is seeking a court order that would force Lucasfilm to reinstate her, to recast her, basically to give her job back. This makes it difficult for Disney to advance a common defense tactic to claim that Carano was just trying to profit off her justified firing. That she was just going after the deep, once deep, now pretty shallow, pockets of Disney. It was my understanding from her social media posts that what Gina wants back really is her career. She worked hard for it, and it was unjustly taken away, and she wants to get it back on track. Rather than just some cash from a settlement, she wants to restore her place in the entertainment industry. Would she actually take a role in Lucasfilm? I don't know. Maybe. I tend to doubt it, but she wants to at least have that offer made to her. To restore her good name, to force Disney to admit wrongdoing and smeared her, and ultimately reclaim her ability to be a working actress. Let me give a little background here. Gina was fired by Lucasfilm in February of 2021. Things were, let's say just really pretty chaotic at the time at Disney. Chapek had barely been in the job as CEO for about a year after Iger put him in place as a fall guy for the mysterious health event that we don't talk about that totally didn't come from China. There was no way Iger wanted anything to do with riding Disney over the waterfall and onto the rocks during that time. It would damage his legacy and his political ambitions. His good friend Gavin Newsom told him what was coming down in terms of massive long-term shutdowns. Iger needed an imbecile, a puppet to take the fall. Fortunately, he had one handy. No, not that one. Yeah, that's the one. Iger was still around constantly, looking over Chapek's shoulder, speaking regularly to the board, undermining Chapek's authority at every chance he got. All this made Chapek really very nervous about taking full reign and control of Disney. The issues consuming us were filming being slowed down or shut down entirely, or at least crawling along at such a snail's pace because of all the pandemic requirements. Disney California was closed. We were losing $20 million a day, over $20 million a day. Every day it was closed. Disneyland Paris was closed. We were losing €2 million a day. Every day that was closed. We were busy trying to get Disney Hong Kong open later in February 2021, dealing with authorities' demands for more controls, more safety measures. Walt Disney World and Shanghai Disney were both operational, but at a very limited capacity. Tokyo Disney, I don't know, may or may not have been open. I don't recall. Fun fact, Disney doesn't own those parks. A Japanese company called the Oriental Land Company owns and operates Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Disney Sea Park. We just licensed them intellectual property, characters, and the name brand. So they had their own problems going on, which really didn't involve us. Disney's cruise line had been shut down for some time, and we were working with authorities in many countries to finalize protocols and procedures to get the ships operational again. These were a lot of things going on. There was a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of wheels grinding, and we were operating well outside the norm that anybody had ever seen before. Okay, I digressed a little there. I kind of went down a rabbit hole. I sort of have the attention span of a toddler sometimes. I brought all that up just to give some background to what was happening and why the firing of one actress wasn't something that really came up very high on the radar at the time. Disney had little insight or interest into Gina Carano being let go from The Mandalorian. I'm sure deep down in the bowels of HR, they were keenly aware of it, but it wasn't really an issue on the agenda to worry about for corporate. Lucasfilm acted mostly unilaterally, and to the best of my knowledge, did so without bothering to get so much as Chapek's sign-off beyond a quick wave of his hand and it's your problem, go deal with it. Lucasfilm operates really mostly independently from corporate Disney. When Chapek was asked directly about the firing at our annual shareholders meeting in March of 21, just a month after Gina was fired, Bob just sidestepped the question because he really wasn't all that familiar with it, wouldn't mention Gina by name, and just babbled some nonsense about Disney being interested in standing for values that are universal, such as blah, blah decency, blah, blah integrity, insisting, I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as being left or right-leaning. True, they don't characterize themselves either way. They just do everything, have the same sensibilities, goals, ideals, and methods as one of those two sides. I'll bet you can guess which one. At the time, well before the infamous apology video over the Florida parental rights disaster,
I've read many emails that have been sent, spoken with LGBTQ plus employees and their allies, met with advocacy groups, and convened my own leadership team. And I have been taken by the honesty, the openness, and the urgency of their stories. I want you to know that your words have made a real impact on me.
I still love that so much. Bob was still following his instincts to stay out of politics. But in my opinion, this is where his tenure as CEO started to go wrong. He absolutely should have stopped the blue-haired land whales at Lucasfilm from firing Carano. The data on her popularity was in our hands. She was vastly the most popular character, well, beyond a puppet, and a wonderful person to front for the property. Chapek just didn't have the gumption to take on Kennedy and Lucasfilm, or he just didn't care because of all the other issues we had going on and didn't think it really mattered all that much. One actress, who cares? And maybe it was a little of all those things. But frankly, he should have grown some stones and dealt with it right then and there. He didn't really realize what was happening and the events that were going to cascade from that. Chapek wasn't particularly an ideological person. He was a data guy. He was an analytics guy. He was a money guy. And boy, could he absolutely strain a quarter to get 15 nickels out of it. He had all the data to make a better decision in front of him, but he didn't have the confidence or intelligence to make it. Chapek wasn't on Twitter. He wasn't seeing the messages himself. He was being force-fed what those in Lucasfilm wanted him to see, couched in the way they wanted to present it, and he just accepted it as reality. He never challenged it or had it independently verified. He just went along. This is when the activists knew they had him. This is when his reign as CEO started its slide out the door. They knew they could manipulate him. They could get him in line and use him to push their progressive agenda, and the floodgates just opened from there. In a long line of dumb moves, allowing Gina Carano to be fired stands head and shoulders above them all. It started a cascading series of events that spiraled out of control right to the point at which we fired him at an Elton John concert. So Lucasfilm fires Carano. This causes a major fan backlash. Gina was superb in her role as Cara Dune and was a major fan favorite, far more so than that little creep Pedro Pascal. The fandom was shattered. The Mandalorian began its death spiral, and fans walked away from Disney Plus in droves to support Gina. Canceling your Disney Plus subscription trended on social media for quite a while. I never had the opportunity to meet Gina in person. In those days, sets were very heavily controlled by the COOF police. No one was allowed near the filming unless you had a specific reason to be there. My desire to wander around and see all the cool stuff going on wasn't considered essential. But I hear that she's truly a delightful person and definitely did not deserve the treatment she received. No one even informed her of her firing directly. She learned about it on social media like the rest of us slobs. I don't care what you may be firing someone over. This is just an unacceptable practice. It's dirty, low-life approach to doing it. But personally, I think they did it that way on purpose to try to drag her through the mud, as if she wasn't even worthy of them going through the normal process to take someone privately and set them aside and tell them that they're fired. They did it publicly before they even alerted her to it so that they could further drag her through the mud. It's despicable. A whole slate of bad things started happening to Gina after she was publicly defamed and fired. She was essentially blackballed in Hollywood. She was dropped by her management agency. Offers that had made to her were rescinded. Opportunities dried up. Disney was using full force of its influence to crush her, to make her never able to work in the industry again, all because she dared to defy them. All because she stood her ground for her principles and she wouldn't bend the knee. She stood up for free speech. She stood up for her freedom. In a very real way, Gina Carano was standing up for all of us, saying no to the pressure from a mega corporation trying to force you to espouse their ideology or else. I'm sure these past 3 years have been very difficult for her. For most of it, she likely felt powerless to fight back. But I really think the winds of change have started to blow against the woke mob. The pendulum has reached its amplitude. That means the highest point, and has begun to swing back in the other direction. If Gina prevails in her lawsuit, then it will be putting corporations on notice that we have all recourse and resources to fight back. The corporate bullies can't push their agendas on us without any challenge or pushback. We may all soon owe a wonderful woman a real debt of gratitude and thanks. Gina may well have found her place in history not as a fighting talent, not as a wonderful actress, but more as a freedom fighter for us all. Someone who's taken on real power for the benefits of society. Gina wrote some wonderful words about her struggle and her journey for redemption on X. I will leave links below in the comments section to Gina's full X post announcement, and a link also to the full court filing, which you should read. It's actually worth a read. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. I'll be back real soon with a new video. Until then, you take care. Bye for now.